What's up, board fam? Eric here, and we need to talk about the upcoming Lanterns TV show from the DCU over on HBO Max. And we've talked extensively about this on the Nerdcast. Shout out to the Nerdcast every Monday and Thursday night. Come in and join us. We talk about a lot of topics. Always a lot of fun, and you guys show up and have a good time. So please, if you haven't been, stop in on a Monday or Thursday. We've talked about this. I've given my thoughts on it. My opinion on this has changed off and on as we keep getting news and updates. And I don't think, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, the show is cooked. It's completely cooked. It's not going to be good. I do have, like I said, quickly, let me talk about my concern for this. I know when they say grounded, they're talking more about character development and storytelling, but I do have a concern over the concept of them being out as detectives in rural United States. I think this sounds to me like a show that I will not like, that I'm not going to like it. So I'm not saying that I won't. I'm saying that it sounds like something that I probably wouldn't watch if it were not attached to the DCU. And that's kind of a problem for me. I know it's a problem for a lot of other people as well. So I have those reservations. I have concerns about not seeing a lot of space stuff. This is a very space-centric franchise in DC. So I want to see a little bit of that. And I also want to see special effects and costumes and stuff. I want to see all these things because it is what I really love, is like the visual element of the Green Lantern's stories, is these constructs and these cool colors and all the lore behind it. And I just don't know if the show is going to give us that. So I am a little concerned about that. But there's a quote here from Chris Mundy, the showrunner, who says some things about the way John and Hal are going to be different, I guess, in the DCU that have me a little bit concerned. Again, on this one. So Chris Mundy says that John Stewart's construct powers are based in creativity, while Hal Jordan just wants to hit everything with a big green fist. Now, my only issue with this is that it feels like they're not totally, I mean, let's be clear here. They're not doing a direct one-to-one adaptation of these characters. So there's going to be some difference. But I think it's really interesting that they took what I would consider to be Kyle Rayner's role as a Lantern, the more creative, artistic style of constructs that Kyle Rayner did. Kyle wouldn't just make a giant fist. He'd make like a mecha gauntlet, samurai, like anime-inspired armor, things like that. He uses exaggerated style, textures, expression. So you can tell they come from an artistic, creative brain, not a soldier or a pilot. So they're visually elaborate. That's kind of what happens with this character in the comics, right? So being a graphic artist and comic book illustrator before coming a Lantern does play into that. Hal, it's a little bit more similar, I guess, to what it is, because Hal uses his ring intuitively and he improvises a lot. So his constructs are like flashy, dynamic, symbolic. So think, again, like a giant fist set here, race cars, boxing gloves, things like that. This is what Hal Jordan does. So his imagination is there, but it's more of like a reactionary thing. Now, John Stewart, this is where it gets a little interesting. So John Stewart in the comics usually creates more technical and structurally sound constructs. So when he builds things, it's like he's building real things, like every bolt hinge, all the internal construction mechanisms are designed properly because his constructs are solid and opaque, and they feel like hard light, not energy. And so he uses his ring more tactically. And that comes from being like an architect and a Marine. So he gets the discipline aspect of it. Planning, structure sort of comes second nature to him. So all of these things are what makes John Stewart the Lantern that he is. Let's read the whole quote here. So one thing we attacked from the beginning was that the Green Lantern powers, a lot of it is based in creativity. To manifest things from the Lantern rings, you've got to manifest something from your brain, but also kind of from your soul. So what does that look like? What does that feel like? I imagine it's not much different than being a sculptor or a painter. And Aaron had to be able to sell that John could have that ability. And that's what he did. He understood that John would appreciate that aspect of his powers. We always joke that Hal just wants to hit everything with a big green fist. So it is an interesting quote here because he talks about like being a sculptor or a painter, and then he attaches that to John Stewart. And I don't really know if that's the correct way to tackle this character. And that's what gives me a pause on this. I'm sort of taken aback by it because I'm like, wait, that's not really who John Stewart is, or at least the John Stewart that we know from either the cartoons or the comic books. So it makes me wonder, if we are to bring in a character like Kyle Rayner, which I hope they would eventually, what would that character be like? Because he's the one that's an actual artist. So how would that function in the DCU? And I know you might say, well, Eric, this is being a little bit nitpicky, and I guess it is, but they're making it a point of conversation, so it does make me a little bit concerned about it. And you know, Hal saying here, we always joke that Hal just wants to hit everything with a big green fist. I feel like that is an accurate statement about Hal. I would go with that and say that's fine. But John being the artistic one, that just doesn't fit right with me. It doesn't feel right to me for that to be the core of that character. So again, I'm not saying that the Green Lantern series is cooked. Matter of fact, I want it to be really good. I want the DCU to have these different facets within them, these different tones, these different vibes on the shows and the movies and the cartoons. So I'm all for that, but it does make me a little concerned, just a little bit, that we're not going to get a John Stewart that is like the one we know from the comics. Are they going to combine Kyle Rayner and John Stewart into one character, and that's what we're going to have? That seems a little silly to me, because Lanterns could have their own separate little pocket in the DCU with a lot of things they could do. And a lot of the great stuff in the comics comes from this like variety of characters who have the rings and are out protecting the galaxy, you know? So anyway, that's just my thoughts and opinions on this. We'll dive more into this on the Nerdcast. I'm sure we'll talk about this and get into this tonight and get some different opinions. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. How do you feel about this? Is this going to be something that's a big issue for you? Give me your thoughts down there. Make sure you subscribe to help support the channel. Show them that we're in the algorithm. Leave a like down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.